Alright, I'm back to do another tier list. It's Oink Amanda on Twitch, on YouTube. Twitter, it's Amanda Oink, because the name reversed. Anyway, today I wanted to do my opinion of the most fun killer to the least fun killer tier list. And I gotta preface this by saying I do enjoy pretty much every killer in the game. There's only one killer I actually totally don't enjoy playing as. I don't play as certain killers just because they're not necessarily fun to go against, and while they're like even still a little bit fun, it's not so much fun to me that I would rather ruin someone else's fun. But with that being said, we'll get into it. I think everyone knows who my number one killer is, if you know me at all. The most fun killer in the game is Piggy. Who would have thought? Don't worry, next time I do a tier list, it's going to be my opinion of the best killer in the game to the worst killer in the game. And I guarantee you, Piggy's not going to be number one for this list coming up. So anyway, this list, Piggy's number one. I mean, what can I say? I mean, first off, obviously I like Piggy. But secondly, there's so much you can do with Ambush that it turns simple looping into a bit of a mind game for both sides. And I think that it's a lot of fun for both sides to try and guess the dash, or if you're an experienced survivor and the pig is less experienced or plays like me, which is pretty dumb, just run away once you hear terror radius drop. Just run in a straight line and get away. But there's just so much depth to how to play against her that seems pretty easy at face value, pretty easy and interesting to make her fun to play as from my perspective. Going into number two, it's Trapper. Now, a lot of games with Trapper are not going to be S-tier games in terms of enjoyment. In fact, they're probably going to be, D-tier games in terms of enjoyment. But when you hit that one S-tier game where your traps are working, you're snowballing, you're getting everybody beat to hell, and let me remind everyone, I do play a fair style of game where I like to alternate hooks. I don't slug, I don't tunnel, I don't camp. But even still, some games snowball out of control with Trapper, and those games are just like, oh, mwah, the most exciting thing to me. I think if you've been watching me play the game lately, ever since, the Resident Evil chapter, it'll be no surprise to anyone that Nemesis is actually probably my third favorite character in terms of how fun they are. And now the reason for that is, simply put, these fucking hands, dude. Punching a survivor is so satisfying. I don't know what it is about it, but just like hitting them, and it's just like a satisfying dunk. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Especially when you down a survivor. When you just hit them and their body flops forward. Oh my god, it's so satisfying. I do think he's honestly pretty weak in the game. His tentacles kind of a little bit tragic, especially the first infection. But my god, is punching people so satisfying. Number four for my most favorite killers to play. I thought about this a lot, actually. I didn't think that I had this killer this high on my list. Because I don't really play them as much, but I think it's a well-deserved fourth place spot for Demogorgon. The same reasons I like Pig, I like Demo. They're the same but different. I mean, I didn't talk about the pig traps. They are what they are, but it's the dash, and with Demo, it's Shred. Shred is fun. Shred is strong, and if you're good with Shred, you can have a lot of really fun chases. And if the survivors, play around Shred, then again, you're going to have some fun chases. Like, playing against good survivors is fun, to me anyway. You might get beat to hell on Demo, but that's part of the enjoyment. I don't know what else to say. The portals are okay, too. They pretty much, if the survivors don't think to dismantle your portals, you can pretty much turn any situation into a 3-gen situation with Demo, which is honestly pretty smart and pretty fun. The next killer is actually a killer that I am not good at. I'm terrible at this killer, but even still, it is so much fun and so rewarding to get a hit, land a hit, do the thing that makes the killer fun. It's rewarding and fun, and that's Nurse. She's going to be the last character I have in the S tier for fun, and I think this one may come to a surprise, or come as a surprise to a lot of people as well that watch me on Twitch, because I've said my top 5 a few times, and this is not the same top 5 that I've exclaimed praises about. But as of late, I've been playing more and more Nurse, just messing around, being terrible with her. Honestly, just an atrocious Nurse. But it's fun. It's so satisfying. The second you land that blink, or you bait a dead hard, or you know that they're gonna fake and you catch them in the fake and down them, like, I can understand why so many killers go to Nurse and play Nurse a lot. I mean, on top of her being strong, but you have to be good for her to be strong, and being good with her is fun, so it makes sense to want to play the strong killer because she's fun. That rounds out the S tier, though. I'm always hesitant to put even this many characters in the S tier, but I truthfully believe, from my perspective, that these killers are all just so super fun. Like, I could play them over and over and over again and not be miserable, not be upset. I guess the outlier might be Trapper, where he, but it's about that 1 in 10 game or 1 in 15 game where you just, like, everything works perfectly and you just snowball the game into infinity. Those games are just so rewarding, so satisfying. I can't help but sit there and just laugh when people are just corralled into traps every time. It's so good. My next pick is probably a little bit controversial in terms of the fun scale, but ever since day one of this character's release, I've been in love with them. I think that they're super fun. I know survivors don't like playing against them, but let's be honest, they're still weak. They're still weak in most situations. Survivors just hate the one situation where they're in an open area versus this killer, which I totally get, because in an open area, this killer is super fucking strong, and it's Trickster. There's just throwing the daggers. It's something about it is just fantastic to me. And when you just land like a couple good long distance snipes on someone as they're running away, you get that down, or you're like at a pallet or something and you just like throw through a box, or like the trucks on the Auto Haven maps have like little slits in them where you can kind of aim through, or like whipping daggers through Shack, which isn't something that I do often, but if it works, it's incredible and feels so satisfying. Yeah, he's again very weak, but my god, is he fun. I'll lose every game on Trickster if that's what it takes, just to have a good time. That being said, the next killer is someone who's actually a pretty decent killer. I think a lot of people, even after the buffs, underrate this killer in terms of their overall strength. But that being said, I'm talking about funness, and it's Wraith. It's Wraith. This tier list has turned into something totally different when I actually sat down and constructed it for a minute and figured out exactly where I wanted killers to be. I definitely thought a couple killers would be higher and a couple killers would be lower, just off the top of my head, but actually constructing the list, as I said, things have changed, and Wraith, lots of fun. I don't use All Seeing. I don't use Silent Bell. I don't like those add-ons. They're gross. I don't like the Bone Clapper either. I use Uncloak add-ons, and they're so messed up. And there's probably nothing more satisfying in this game than when you uncloak and use the extra speed in your swing to catch a survivor keeping a pallet, because they think that you're going to be slower than you are. It works like every time. Even against experienced survivors, it works. And it's so satisfying, just uncloaking and zooming across the map and hitting someone around a corner. Like, speed is fun in every game. I don't think anyone can deny that. And Wraith, he's got it. Which makes my Blight placing a little bit weird, but I think that the inexperience with Blight, I've played him a good chunk, don't get me wrong, but just not enough to be good with him. When I do place him, it will look off, but trust me, as I said at the beginning, I preface this, pretty much every killer is fun in this game. I like every killer, except for one, which I will get to eventually. But the next killer is kind of in the same vein as Nurse, where my skill does not exist necessarily, but landing those good shots with Huntress over things or between things, similar to Trickster, it's just like, when you land a nice shot that's like kind of between or over an obstacle where you're like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to hit this, just, it's so good. And again, I'm not out here using Eerie Head or anything. That add-on is way too damn strong. Even after the nerf, it's probably still a little bit too strong. I probably wouldn't care to go against it. These days, a good Huntress doesn't need Eerie Head, in my opinion. And even though I'm not good, I like to emulate what I think is good, in the form of like add-ons and stuff that people use, that are good. She has some strong add-ons that are brown and yellow, and I just mostly use those because I feel like if I can use those now to get good with her, then I won't miss something like the iridescent head in the future. It's sort of the same with Nurse. I'm trying not to use the plaid flannel to learn her because, quite honestly, I feel like it's a bit of a crutch. But yeah, just landing those hatchets. Oh, granted, there are some drawbacks to her as well as Trickster, as well as Slinger somewhere down the road when I get to him, where small loops, or not loops even, but like small structures, objects, obstacles are the bane of their existence, and you force an M1 out of them, which is the right thing to do. But that's about it. Like, she just whipping hatchets that you don't think are gonna land, and they land. It's just beautiful. It's so fun. And she's recently risen up in my tier list of fun. I originally, the next killer I have, I would have said was fourth, and now here I am actually constructing the thing and thinking about how much fun I have with everyone. And yeah, Ghostface has moved down quite a bit for me. I love stalking, I love 99ing, I love taking selfies, but there's just something about him that it doesn't feel as fun to me these days. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it's because he's a little bit weaker on average, and the way I play game, it doesn't enable me to utilize him to his fullest potential. And I get that. It's my choice to play the weird way that I play. But yeah, he's just fallen out of grace for me a little bit. Don't get me wrong. He's still 9. Like, I still super enjoy him. But he yeah, there's not much to say about Ghostface. I like moving around stealth. I was recently indoctrinated to the crouch face build and lifestyle, and that's pretty fun. But it doesn't feel good. It feels weak. But yeah, there's not much to say about Ghostface. He's fun, and when you steamroll, you feel really good about yourself. But when you lose, you really lose, and that definitely is something that takes away from the enjoyment. Like, losing on Huntress or losing on Nurse feels way more fun. Losing on Demo, Trapper, Pig, Nemesis, maybe not Trapper, but you get the point. Like, everyone else losing on them feels fun. Losing on Ghostface feels just like, yeah, I picked Ghostface, and I, didn't get to do anything. I didn't get to throw a hatchet. I didn't get to near miss blink. I didn't get to, shred and almost hit them. I didn't get to ambush, loop them, and they ran away and played it well. Even like Trickster, it's like, I didn't get to, have them one dagger away from down on the ground, and that would have given me Pop Goes the Weasel active, and that would have saved my game. Like, Ghostface is just like, oh shit, I accidentally hit the 99 person. I probably just lost this game, or something. It's probably just me being dumb, but yeah, it doesn't feel as fun to lose on Ghostface. Now, the next killer I have in mind, we're already getting close. We're already getting close to the end, even though we're still less than halfway there. Just this list is shrinking. Is Clown. I didn't like Clown for the longest time, if I'm being honest, but recently I started playing him again, and utilizing bottles in unique, weird ways when it does work feels very, very rewarding and very fun. And while he is still mostly weak, it's really cool to experiment with what his yellow bottle can do. Everyone's obviously used to the pink bottles, but what the yellow bottle can do at looping situations where you can give yourself that speed to hit somebody over, like, for example, Ironworks at Misery, that pallet on the outside of the building that's between the giant, like, log thing and the wall. If you yellow bottle yourself and they're still standing there baiting it, you can actually reach them on the shorter side, but you can reach them for a lunge hit when they're playing that normally pretty safe pallet much easier. And also, full disclosure, I like sucking on fingers in the game. In the game, not in real life. No, no, no. I use Devour Hope. I don't use the Mori, but I'll put Devour Hope on Clown, and if I get to 5 stacks and the person that I down is not or is on Death Hook, when I can Mori them, I will Mori them only then. But I love collected figures. It's funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm a big weirdo, and you're probably seeing this video going, "Yep, that guy's a fucking weirdo. Let's not go check him out." All the same, uh, he's fun, and you can shout some pretty random, weird, goofy things when you're playing as Clown that I like "Let me suck fingers" or something to that effect. And I guess in the same regard as something like that, I've really enjoyed Plague, and I like yelling, "Let me puke on you, let me puke in your face," all that stuff. She is a little bit annoying when your puke you sometimes hit people with your puke and don't infect them, and I know that sounds like weird, but anyone who plays like a decent amount of Plague would know what I'm talking about, probably, where you puke at them and they scream because they've been hit by the puke, but it actually didn't connect. And that's a little bit frustrating because there's been situations where I think I puked on somebody, and then I look down and it's just like, oh no, they just screamed for no reason. Got it. Okay, cool. Her puke's also a little bit frustrating in that it like comes out a little bit to the left on your screen, and so you kind of have to aim more to the right to adjust, and that feels wonky. But at the end of the day, it is so fun to me to just puke on things, puke on people. There's like a bit of a mind puzzle where it's like, okay, I puked on this generator and that generator. Which one do I think they're at based on where I saw them last, or based on where, I don't know, my corrupt intervention is, or based on where I think they spawned, and trying to track people that way. It's kind of cool. She's got some depth, and I haven't fully captured the professional Plague gameplay like I would like to, but she certainly fits the bill quite nicely for fun, at least from my perspective. I like puzzles, and it feels like she creates an extra element to the puzzle in the game. Next killer, also in the same vein as actually what I was saying about Blight, is Hillbilly. He'll be the last one in my A tier. I didn't like Billy at the start, and so I prestiged him right away because I'm weird and prestige the killers I don't like first, so I can play the ones I do like longer. It's backwards to how most people are doing it. I know I'm kind of a crazy person, but Billy has fallen. I've fallen a little bit in love with Billy lately. I think it's more fun to just zoom around the map with QE turning and just like go, just zoom, than it is to actually just play as Billy. But sometimes, Tinkerer goes off, you QE around the map on your chainsaw to that generator, and you land a nice solid chainsaw on someone who's unsuspecting. And oh my god, is that ever rewarding. Again, just moving around the map super fast is always fun in every game. And you know, being able to down them the second you get to them too is kind of cool, kind of fun, and I don't know. I like it. I like zooming around the map as Billy, which is why Blight is the top of B tier. He's a little bit less at. I'm not great at controlling him, but also he can't permanently zoom around the map. I know in terms of strength, Blight is infinitely better than Billy. Actually, even because he can't zoom around the map like that, you have to strategically move and place your hits on certain objects. But when you glide with Blight, it feels so bad. You like when you try to slam into a wall and you just run. That's what takes the fun out of the character for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people too. He's super fun when he works, and when he doesn't work, it's like, oh my god, again. Like I just want to play the killer the way he's intended to be played. I think that if every single collision issue was fixed with Blight, he would become, honestly, the most fun killer, or one of the most fun killers in the game to try and master. That being said, I think I'm comfortable putting him at the top of B tier because he's still super fun. Even when he doesn't work, he's still pretty fun. You just get disappointed. And you just have to laugh because you know what's going to happen. I guess in the same situation as the other two, this is another mobility based character, and it's not Oni, it's Legion. Legion's the character that surprises me the most about where I'm putting him on this tier list, because if you had have asked me, I would have said he was easily top 10 before constructing this list. But looking at it now, I'm very comfortable with where I have him. I play him quite a bit. He was one of my first three mains. When I started playing the game, I got to red ranks playing Slinger, Freddy, and Legion, and I actually played probably the most Legion um in red ranks, which is weird. I didn't get rank 1 off Legion, but still, like, he's definitely a very unique killer, and he is weak, but you can have some really strong winning games, and it's all to do with his mobility and thanatophobia stacking with his ability. Nothing really beats fast vaulting windows and chases and catching up to people. He's great. He's great for a lot of fun from my perspective. Then the next one's a killer that people really hate playing against, which is why I don't play him often. I don't get to play him often. I don't like playing the killers that people don't like playing against. I want everyone to have fun. But Doc, I love Doctor, the Shocker. There's something so satisfying about just using your power, your control power, not your M2 power, although that's satisfying too. And hitting 4 survivors, like free tracking every so often. You just, they scream, you know where to go, you have a rough idea of where they are when you get there. It's really satisfying, and then being able to totally shut off loops is also really cool. I understand the frustration from survivors, don't get me wrong. Like, I do like facing doctors. I like facing every killer in the game except the killer that I like playing the least, which obviously we'll get to. I like playing them the least, and I like playing against them the least. And I think it's going to surprise some people that don't watch me and just stumble upon this YouTube video. But yeah, Doctor, he's so satisfying. When he works really well. And if you're a baby Doctor, then survivors are probably going to have fun versus you. So he's not even the worst to go against if you're new. And since I don't get to play him very much, I'm basically a baby Doctor, I would say. I guess we're at that point where a lot of killers are killers that people don't like playing against now, looking at everyone who's left. But the next one I have for fun is actually Pyramid Head. I really don't play him very often either, but I don't think anyone can deny that it is satisfying as all hell to just shut down windows, shut down pallet vaults, shut down everything. Like, shutting shit down as a killer versus the survivors is fun for the killer. It's not so much fun for the survivor, which is again why I don't really play him very much. But it is what it is, and his design is super enjoyable from the killer perspective, which is why I understand why a lot of players play him. Plus, he's a good killer. I mean, how can he not be? He can hit through walls. Like, hitting through walls is only 2 killers can do it. Maybe technically if you count Trapper, maybe technically if you count Nemesis, maybe if you count Plague. Yeah, there's those couple and Nurse. Like, the zombies can do it, the traps can do it, the generators or whatever you puke on can do it. But yeah, like, hitting through walls is something that you can't really do with killers, and Pyramid Head enables you to do that, and I think that's pretty cool. And even as cool as it is and how fun it is, it's actually usually weaker to just guess where they are or hit through walls unless you know affirmatively where they are. And that's what I think is super cool about the design of the character. You can do these things, but it's not necessarily good, because if you miss, there's a gigantic amount of time wasted that the server gets. The next killer on this list is one of the 2 killers that I basically mained the first time, or when I first started playing the game. They were the killer that actually got me rank 1 the first time, and I don't think this is going to come to anyone as a surprise, but it was Slinger. I played so much Death Slinger. I really enjoyed him. My build was kind of, well, I guess it was before the Undying change, so it was actually kind of messed up, but it was Ruin, Undying, Discordance, and Whispers. I'm not a Monitor Slinger. I don't even actually have Monitor on Slinger right now, because I'm done spending points on him. Like, ever since I got that rank 1 with him, I just haven't spent a single point on him. But yeah, I think that Monitor makes him obviously way stronger. People hate running into Monitor Slingers, and I totally understand, because that terror radius, he's basically a stealth killer. But just base terror radius Slinger, I think, is a lot of fun, adds a different element to the game. And actually, if I'm being honest, I had to do a 360 only challenge with Death Slinger the other day on stream. It was so much fun. It's like actually possibly the most fun character in the game, 360 only Slinger. I got exactly well. I got technically two hooks, which means I landed four shots, 360 on Yamaoka. The shit. Which one was it? It was the one with the pagoda in the middle. The name is slipping me right now, but yeah, 360 slinger was super fun. It was so ridiculous. I actually challenge anyone to just play a 360 only game of slinger. I know a lot of people care about their ranks. I don't, and that made the game so damn enjoyable. I almost want to start doing it on the regular, but I think it's niche enough that it would be really, really fun to do on occasion, on special occasion, let's say. But yeah, Slinger just it's really satisfying. Again, land shots. I keep saying this, like, landing shots with Huntress, landing shots with Trickster, landing shots even with Nurse, because it's to some degree she's the projectile. It's just satisfying when you get a really nice shot and you get to reel someone in and hit them. I understand the frustrations of a lot of survivors too, because like to some degree, and let's be honest, we'll call it like a 90-10 split on the percentile use of Dead Hard, but he's like a 90% counter to Dead Hard. You have to Dead Hard when he shoots and is going to hit you, and if the shot was to miss or doesn't hit you or he doesn't shoot, that's all countering Dead Hard right there, whether you use it or not. Like there's ways to bait it. And once he's got you on the spear, the only way that you can get free is by just not being in distance of him and breaking the chain, which obviously doesn't happen as super often as you'd like it to. And the other killer, there's two more killers that I'm going to put in the B tier because again, everyone is pretty fun to me, except for a few and one killer that's pretty not fun, but it's Freddy. I know, I'm a bad guy. I like Freddy. I mained Freddy when I started. He was really easy to pick up. He was really easy to learn. I was told to main Freddy because of the ease of the learning curve. And quite honestly, even after these nerfs, he's still super fun. I think that he is genuinely a little bit weaker because of the nerfs. Moving at 4.0 while placing snares is a big hindrance to his strength. He's still strong. Don't get me wrong. He's still strong. He's still a strong killer. I think that people overlook how big of a hindrance going 4.0 is instead of 4.6 when placing the pools, and I think that that was a huge nerf, as well as the borrowed time buff and the waking up nerf. Like a culmination of all the things made Freddy weaker, and I think people will slowly stop hating playing against him so much as a result of that. That being said, a lot of Freddy players are still going to be pretty greasy and pretty mean as they always have been because he's notorious for being strong, being mean, and Mr. Fantastic, stretchy arms. Man, there's not much to say about Freddy. I just really enjoy him. Teleporting is mobility, and mobility is fun, and that's about it. But mind gaming with a teleport feels really fun, really satisfying. I just don't play him anymore because people don't like playing against him. But if they did, I would play Freddy a lot more, I think, and I would put more points onto him now that I have all of the perks unlocked to be unlocked on killers. But I'll wait until I P3'd him and have him totally finished. The last killer in the B tier, I'm actually kind of shocked that I put them this low because I really love playing this killer, man. Like this says so much about every other killer on this list that I put Michael down this low. I love playing Michael, dude. Michael is so fun. He's so satisfying. Stalking people, sneaking up on people and they don't see you. I really like Tier 1 Michael. I like playing against Tier 1 Michael. I think it's genuinely one of the only actual sometimes scary things in this game. Now, we're not going to talk about Infinite Tier 3 or Tombstone or Infinite Tier 3 Tombstone or the Tombstone piece. That's not fun. That's not fun to play as for me. That's not fun to play against. I've actually never played it to know that it's not fun to play against, or sorry, that it's not fun to play as. But I know me, and I know that I don't like doing stuff like that in the game. I want people to enjoy the game. I want people to have fun. Same goes for Pig with Tampered Timer and Crate of Gears, or Tampered Timer and the add-on that makes it so there's 5 boxes. Like I don't like stuff that takes away fun from survivors or like puts too much pressure on them. I like going against unnerving presence with the small skill checks, and I like going against Nemesis because the zombies are like a small added threat. I don't like things that are like, hey, There's nothing you can control about this, and you're gonna die. Again, like Tampered Timer, you can do things against, which is just get your hat off. But if your hat's the fourth box, you're dead. Unless you're on like a small map, have sprint burst, and it, I don't know. That's not fun. And you know, Infinite Tier 3 Tombstone, if he gets to Tier 3 and he gets you, you have no counterplay, zero, none, and that's not fun. I've literally been killed by Tier 3 Myers after he stalked my whole team, and then I got stuck on Jane's thick booty. He walked up to me, first time he saw me in the game, killed me. And I was just like, wow, that was so fun. I didn't even get a chase with Michael. He got Tier 3, and I got stuck on Jane, and now I'm dead. That's so fun. Yeah, I'm glad everyone's having fun. I think personally people find too much joy in making other people miserable, and that makes people miserable. That's not fun. That being said, everything else about Michael is super fun. I even want to use Monitor Dead Rabbit um, to have that reduced terror radius thing that I was talking about with Slinger. That sounds fun as hell too. And it sounds a little bit too strong, but it's, not Tombstone Tier 3. But for what it's worth, I mostly play Michael with almost no add-ons. Like I'm using a brown and a yellow, and I don't even think they're very good. I think there's some of the weaker add-ons he has, but he's just fun to play as is. He's just fun to play. I think everyone should, give Michael a shot. He's not very strong, obviously, but he's enjoyable. And I think one of the biggest things you can say about Michael is that he feels very true to his character. I think that's the absolute best thing about Michael. I think that a lot of the adaptations are actually quite true to their character, but Michael to me feels like, I guess, Tier 3 Tombstone feels the most like real Michael Myers, where it's like, okay, he stalked you, he knows you, he's got your routine down, and you're dead. That definitely feels like the biggest thing that makes Michael a true adaptation. But even just the base kit of the character feels very, very cool and real to me. That's gonna be the end of B tier, and I'm gonna go into C, which is characters that I like them enough, but they're not characters that I ever would pick on my own. I'm starting with Oni. It's fun to slash with the sword. The power's super fun to move around with. The power feels wonky. It's hard to learn. I'm getting a lot better with Oni. And again, like I like Oni enough. Like he might just barely squeeze into the bottom of B tier on a different day, but just thinking about Oni is not fun to me, but playing Oni is just a little bit more than not fun to me. I usually do well with Oni. I don't even know what I'm doing right with Oni. It just like things just fall into place, and it's bad that I can win games and not understand why when I play a killer, and that's what happens with Oni. It's like I don't feel like I did anything correct. People still died. That to me is, I don't know, it's weird. I get it. Like if you're a good Oni, he's a lot of fun, and people really like Oni, and I understand why. Again, mobility is fun. But yeah, for me, he's kind of bottom 5. Honestly, now that I'm looking at the whole list, there's not much to say. The next character's Twins. Twins, playing the game the way I play without tunneling, slugging, camping, all that stuff. Twins basically doesn't exist. Like you can do stuff and you can win games with them, but their core design is to either camp a hook and run with the other character, or camp a slug and run with the other character. Whether it be Victor or Charlotte, you can do it both ways. And just win the game by slugging people out and bleeding them out. And that's not fun. That's not fun for me to leave people on the ground, and it's not fun to be left on the ground. Just there's so little to say about Twins and how much I dislike them. Yeah. Hag. I'm just moving on to Hag. Twins suck. Hag. I enjoy playing Hag. I know I said this tier list was the characters I enjoy playing in order. I enjoy playing Hag probably a little bit more than Twins, but I think people hate playing against Hag more, and that's also part of this tier list in my subconscious anyway. So these two are almost interchangeable. Like, I think people hate playing against Hag more, and I like playing Hag maybe a little bit more. Maybe I like playing her even a little more than Oni. But for my list of who I like playing as, I'm usually talking about streaming and playing the game. And Hag is just. I actually love playing against Hag as a survivor. But most survivors hate it because she is very strong. And also, Rusty Shackles are disgustingly strong. Um, yeah, she fits the bill as a killer that's like not fun enough to make me want to play more and just miserable enough for people to go against that I just like don't even consider her. If you've been to the stream, you'll see I have really, really high channel point rewards for me to play Hag and the next killer on the list because they're just not fun to play against. And based on that, I think I think everyone kind of knows where this is going, which is weird that Spirit is my second least favorite killer to play in the game. She's fun. Everyone in the S through C list is fun to some degree. Like there are varying limits of the fun for me, and Bubba's the only one that I don't like playing. But we'll talk about Spirit a little bit. I don't like that a mind game can be literally standing still. I don't like that a mind game can be a 50-50 coin flip on every pallet. Like my luck is terrible. As a survivor, I always get murdered by spirits because my luck is terrible. As a spirit, you know what? I'll throw it out there. I've literally played Spirit, I think, 5 times in the game, just because of how much I don't find it fun to play against her or to be in that position. Like, I know most people think it's probably the worst killer to play against in a casual environment. And while I'm appreciating the game more and enjoying going against spirits now as a survivor, once upon a time ago I hated it. And I do just hate the idea of 50-50s. You should be able to do something. You should be able to do something. And it feels like you can't versus her. I get why people play her. It's fun. I really like the idea of tracking people through sounds, and I do it pretty often. I hear people moving in bushes. I hear people breathing through walls. So Spirit kind of amplifies that, especially with Strider Spirit, but Strider amplifies that, on its own. I get the appeal. I get the appeal a lot. And plus, stealth is pretty fun. That being said, she kind of fits the same bill where, like, she's probably here for me, and maybe Hag is a little more fun to play than Spirit. But just playing against her for most people is such a rough, traumatizing experience that it's just like, I just can't. I just don't like her. And we'll talk about Bubba. When you hear Bubba or like, oh, it's Leatherface or oh, it's Bubba or whatever, your brain is conditioned to immediately think Insidious Bubba, which is not fun. I know that a lot of Bubbas aren't Insidious face camping Bubbas, but everybody knows the basement Bubba, the face camping Bubba. And that's not even the worst thing to me because that's easy to counter. You just don't go to the basement, but then you don't get points either. And sucking the fun away to be like a troll, in my opinion, is not fun. I don't think it's fun to be the Bubba standing there for 5 minutes doing nothing, and I don't think it's fun to go against the Bubba that stands there for 5 minutes doing nothing. You get no points because they're insidious, so even if you do try to, get them in a chase, you don't really get them in a chase that much, and you lose all your points because now you're chainsawed on the ground. Yeah. The other thing is, like, solo queuing into Bubba, whether it's me or my teammates, it just feels like we're always doing the wrong thing versus Bubba. We're always chainsawed on the ground. And then playing him, he's not as fun as, Hillbilly. I don't like I like zooming around the map, or I like, meaningful chases. Bubba doesn't feel like that for me, and the one-shot downs don't feel that satisfying for me like they do with every other killer that have downs. There's just something about playing Bubba that I don't like, and playing against Bubba that I don't like. And like, I'll play him for my regular, killer redeem channel point reward more than I'll play Hag or Spirit. But that's because I know people like Bubba. I feel like I'm just weird. I don't know. Bubba's not it for me. Bubba's not it for me. But anyway, that's my thoughts on my most fun to play as tier list. I've got two more ideas. I think the next one I will do is probably my overall strength tier list. And another one I want to do is the killers that I find the most fun to play against as a survivor versus the least fun. And I'm curious to see how that mirrors or echoes some of the statements I've had here. I mean, I know already Bubba will be the last one on that list, but I'm curious to see what else will be in like a similar or different spot. That being said, that's going to be the end of the video. If anyone wants to catch me on Twitch, I stream 7 hours every single day. Right now, anyway. Eventually, maybe I'll take another day off, but I don't know if I will. I don't know if I will eventually have a scheduled day off, but it's twitch.tv/oinkamanda. Same as the YouTube page, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw the link to everything in the description down below. Thanks everyone for checking it out. Feel free to, like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. I'm always looking to improve myself and my content. So if anyone has any suggestions, I'm all ears.